You are now listening to the Bluprint Pod. Get ready for another exciting episode, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome, everyone. We are Bluprint Pod, and today I am doing the first episode with my partner in crime, Muhammad Imam. So say what's up.
Yo, what's good? Man, Muhammad Imam, like he said it in a very ethnic way there, very nice to read.
How do I say it in a non-ethnic way?
No, it was very nice. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I really studied
non-ethnic
it
ways.
before
Muhammad Imam. There you go.
Muhammad,
that's what they call me at work.
Mohammed Imam. Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, that's if Donald Trump was to say it.
Yeah, no, you just be Mo'im.
Yeah, it'll be like stop the count first.
All right. So
yeah. So I also go by MI Visuals on the socials. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm a graphic designer, and I've been doing podcasting for a minute as well. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, talk about. Well, first of all, we're gonna get into what kind of podcast you've been doing, what kind of visuals work you've been doing, as well as me. But we're gonna first start by introducing what we expect this podcast to be about, so the listeners know what to expect in the future. And this is called the I Am Legend podcast, but it's a part of a brand that you and I started called the Bluprint, which is a platform, sort of an educational platform for creatives of all sorts. So right now it's going to be about graphic design and photography and videography, but in the future we're expecting to expand to coding and other things that we've talked about. So the YouTube channel, which is called the Bluprint, is where we will post videos and tutorials and kind of guides on how to do practical stuff, not just crazy transition videos, which there's nothing wrong with, but we're going to do like, how do you apply these things in a business sense? So for example, we have a video upcoming about how to practically set up a podcast, right? You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make sure that I try to kind of document the process, but yeah, I mean, I've had like 2 different podcasts in my time, and I think you have as well.
Yeah, I've had a few.
We've got a fair share of experience at the setting up podcast, but yeah, in terms of like the actual blueprint, how we want to do it, it's just like for me, it's like we don't want to make things too long. We know that everyone's attention spans are pretty short these days. Everyone wants their short, fast, high action snippets of clips and stuff. So I'm thinking with the podcast we do like a bit more long form, but still keep it relatively short for a podcast. So kind of like what we talk about in our videos, but a bit more long form, and then occasionally get in the occasional guests that someone might be an expert in their field or whatever, and then hopefully get their insight as well and stuff. But yeah, for me it's more about like the educational side of things, where a lot of tutorial channels and different brands, like for example The Future is probably like the biggest creative educational brand, and yeah, I feel like they do it really good, but I feel like we could make it and we can make the content in such a dynamic way that it keeps people captivated, and that's like the main idea for me. That's like to make entertaining content that's still educational, basically.
Right, and it's not really a competition with other channels. It's more so doing like there's a gap somewhere that we feel like we can fill out. And yeah. So, but you've been doing podcasts for a while, and I've been doing a little bit of podcasting myself. Actually, I was
you dabbled in it.
I was kind of inspired by you. Not gonna lie to you, but you started a podcast a few years ago. Can you talk about that for a second? What was that about?
So yeah, so around 2017, I started a podcast called the Inspire Reads Podcast with my friends, with one friend actually. That was like in November time, 2017 or something. Because like back in the day, I used to read a lot. Like I used to read a lot. When I say a lot, like I'll go to the library, I'll pick up 7 books and I'll finish them. Come back within the next 2 days and pick up another 7. And like these aren't like just comics or short stories. Like I was picking up novels like 700 pages and like more like on a regular. And that was as a kid, innit? And then I kind of like I really loved that period, innit? Because I was like, for me, I was quite a wild child, innit? For some reason, books and storytelling and stuff like that just calmed me down quite a bit. And then later on I wanted to like, kind of get into writing as well, writing short stories and stuff. And I was in the process of writing a novel, but I never got around to it. I still haven't to this day, but I'm hoping one day I'll get around to it because I really enjoyed the process of it. But and I love storytelling. That's like a big thing for me, storytelling.
So if we can go back like a few steps, like what was so you have a history of really liking like reading stories and reading books and stuff. So what was the podcast about?
So yeah, it was about like trying to inspire people to read a bit more, and just like showing that like we're always like trying to like do like different challenges and kind of keep it interesting and entertaining, in our point of view anyway, to try and make it so yeah we can. Like you can read along with us. We'll read a book a week, and then you read along with us at your own pace. But we'll also like talk about the book in such a way that it doesn't spoil the book too much. But we kind of review it, and then we kind of do it in a way where we're talking about the themes behind the book and stuff like that. And that just came from us like saying like, well, we haven't read in ages, and we want to get back into reading. So why don't we start a podcast to like just hold ourselves accountable to like a whole variety of people all around the world. And yeah, like if you see like we saw like our analytics, like we literally had people all around the world, like Caribbean countries, like Japan, all sorts, like tuning in every single week and asking questions and stuff, and it was pretty cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean that was like I think that was my first introduction to the podcast medium because I wasn't really familiar with it. And I remember I think I had just visited you in London. We should say that you live in London, I live in Copenhagen.
Should we talk about that first visit?
Huh?
Should we talk about that first visit?
Yeah, go ahead. You take the lead.
Like we just started following each other on social media like a few months before that, and then I was staying over at my sister's house. She was living abroad anyway, so I was just like kind of like babysitting the house for a few months, and then we got to talking and stuff, and then. But we still didn't really know each other like that.
No, not really. I mean, you could have been a killer. I could have been a killer.
Yeah, we literally could have. Like, and I remember like that particular like couple of months, my phone broke and I couldn't get it fixed. I was dead broke at the time, and then like I was literally using a tablet to contact you.
Yeah, I remember that.
like you came to London and I was calling you on a tablet.
I remember that very clearly.
Yeah, I was calling you on a tablet and I was like, yo, you can stay at my place, innit? Like, and then, you guys came and you brought your friend as well. So I was like, he could have been a killer too. Like,
yeah, he could have been a killer too.
Yeah, he's your friend, but who knows?
You didn't just say, come over and stay. We came over and then you said, here's the key, I'm going to work.
Yeah, literally.
So you left the house first.
Yeah, I literally left you the house, and looking back at that, it's absolutely nuts because if my sister found out,
yeah, that wasn't very smart.
Yeah, I know. And most of the time, I was like keep it on the lock and key. I was making sure like no one comes in. I was controlling the entry. I don't know what was going on there, but I don't know. I just had a feeling that all right, these guys are calm. I'll just trust them in it, and they need the place, so I'll let them stay in it. And then you came over, and then we had a good time. I was busy most of the time anyway, so I barely saw you. But in the evenings and stuff, we got to play in 2K and blah blah blah.
Yeah, and I beat you a couple times.
Yeah, I mean you didn't beat me, but
I think I got. Yeah. When we play FIFA, and you beat me like 10-0 or something.
Yeah, it was 7-1. I remember.
Oh,
I remember you posting a snap straight away.
You remember the score? Wow,
yeah,
that's messed up. That's messed up. Why you keep? Wow, that's horrible.
Listen, man, I got it in my notes app.
Yeah. I believe you. You're the type of person to do that. But okay, so that was like, what was that? September, October, 2017.
Yeah, something like that.
And then I come back, and you kind of launched your brand.
Mm-hmm.
And then
in November, I launched my brand.
Huh?
Which is called in like November of that same year, I think I launched that brand, Inspire.
I come back and I see you're launching your brand, and you're like, and we've been talking about like doing work and consistency and stuff like that before, and I'm like, I kind of want to get into this medium as well. And then I think in January 2018, I launched mine, which was called Between the Lines Podcast.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
it was there was no structure in the same way that you guys had, because you guys had a one topic that you united around, which was the book that you guys picked,
which is always good.
Yeah, and for us, it was just like a way for our friends to get together and talk but we did it at my old university. And
Right.
so I wasn't studying there at the time because I had graduated, but my friend was studying there. And we just kind of went into the study halls, and then we told people that we were IT support and that we needed this space.
Wow.
And they had to leave. And then they left, and we got the space. But that one time, the guys left, and then they came back, and they were like, "You guys are doing a radio show." In the middle of the show, I don't have the clips anymore, but I had to cut it out because they were literally interrupting our show.
No way.
But we were just talking, honestly. Our podcast was.
So did you pack up that day then, or did you continue?
No. We had so it was two guys in front of the mics. So you know the other guy, and then there was one behind the camera and kind of behind the scenes. And I told him like go handle it, and then he went outside and handled it, so we could continue.
So mafia boss.
Huh?
Some mafia boss, the Godfather, you know. Go handle it.
Go take care of it, and then he kind of did. Not gonna lie to you, but that
comes back cleaning his hands.
Yeah, that he was like, you can depend on that guy. Let me tell you that. But it lasted like 7 weeks, not that long. So it was one episode every week. But it was fairly successful. I mean, I look at it, and I think I averaged like 250 listeners a week, which is crazy considering that I just started.
Yeah, and you just literally just put it out there.
Yeah, I just kind of like, you know what? I don't care if there's no structure. I just kind of want to do this, and here, everybody listen. And I brought in an expert to talk about like gang violence and other stuff like that. So
that was pretty cool.
And crazy enough, that episode was like those episodes with the expert guy. It was like one of the worst episodes. Like no one listened to that. No one really wanted to hear that. They just wanted me to talk nonsense.
Wow. Yeah, it's weird what you put out and what people like. It's never what you envision in your mind.
You know what? When I realized that there's that I liked just talking and having fun, but I wanted the podcast to have a purpose, and I didn't like the whole like people are doing it. People are listening for the wrong reasons. They're listening because they like the entertainment value, whereas I wanted the educational value, and at that time at least. And I'm not saying.
Why did you call it that, by the way, Man in the Gap? Do you remember why you called it that? Like what the name was, the purpose behind the name?
Yeah. I think I do. I'll call it Between the Lines because we're going to do like social commentary, and we're going to read between the lines of what people say. So like a politician says something or an influencer says something, we're going to say, all right, but what did they really mean? And we did some of that. We spoke about like Aladdin, the original Aladdin song, which was extremely like problematic to say like to say it in a nice way. Like it was really, really problematic, and Disney went on and to change the song as well. So, so this was so we took that, for example, we took that Aladdin song, and it's like, how does this concept show itself throughout all of Hollywood? And then we looked at different examples of movies, and like, it was sometimes it was fun, sometimes it was like, all right, social commentary, but I wanted it to be educational more than entertaining. But it turns out that people enjoyed the entertainment more than the education part of it. So that's not why I quit. I just I got kind of bored with it, and it was a lot of work at the time because I didn't like editing audio, so I just kind of quit. But I want to transition into the visual arts that we do because we've done podcasts before, but I'd say my bread and butter is visual. It's not audio, and I don't know. Would you say the same thing for you?
Definitely. I mean, for me, like with the podcast, we did like 40 episodes or something, and like we did it for like every single week for 1 year straight. So I was on that's always editing it as well. So I got pretty handy at editing audio, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed it either. That was always the tedious part of it. So yeah, for me, I'm definitely more of a visuals guy.
Right. How did you get into? So what do you do?
So I'm a graphic designer, but I prefer to call it like a visual editor or a visual artist because I don't I don't really like the branding side of graphic design. It's a really big field, but I don't enjoy it too much in terms of actual, like, when you're creating something for someone else, you're not really telling your story or whatever idea you want to come up with. That's more of a boring part for me, but I enjoy like just creating like graphic or digital art and like just putting it out there with like different meanings behind them, different stories behind them, and I really have a passion for that.
Right.
And I can talk about how it started, but mainly because me and my guys, we used to do skits back in the day, and then we wanted to. You didn't see any skits. We actually planned. Did I?
I think you did, or that was you, or that was another friend of ours in Manchester. You know who I'm talking about? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
him.
mixing up you guys.
Yeah, it's probably him because he actually put them out. I didn't put them out.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's probably him then.
But yeah, because we always wanted to do like skits and stuff because we just thought we thought we were funny at the time.
Yeah, I've been there.
And then I was like creating the thumbnails and stuff for that kind of stuff for the actual YouTube channel we created, and that sort of ended up becoming Inspire and then the podcast. But yeah, I started creating the thumbnails, and then I was like, yo, this Photoshop thing is actually pretty interesting. And then I started to like watch loads of tutorials and stuff, and I got to a point where I was like creating my own artwork, and I was just like really enjoying it. And then I took it further, and I like, started getting clients and building my portfolio, and then here I am today. I've done it for like 4 years now, and I've got like hella clients, and now we're starting to launch the Bluprint. So yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah. For me, I do photography and videography, but kind of like you, I don't like those terms. I mean, I use them, but I don't like them. I kind of prefer storyteller, visual storyteller, because I think what's special about like real photography. Oh wow, man, that's a hater term to call it real photography. But
hipster came out.
but the difference between like what I consider like photography and film and just video editing is story. Like a lot of people can do visually pleasing. Maybe in photos is different, but in videos they could do like visually pleasing videos, but there's like no story.
Yeah.
And so that's what I prefer to focus on. But I think I started with photography since I was like a little kid. I had disposable cameras, and I would always ask for more disposable cameras. And like, there's still pictures at home at my mom's place were like pictures of that I took as a kid. And then she got like an SLR camera or DSLR camera. I don't remember. And then it just kind of went on to phones. And then I think in 2015 or 16, I bought I borrowed money to buy my first camera. And and then I got into video. And just like you, I was in that phase where I thought I was funny. And I wanted to
do that.
Yeah, I was funny. I don't know about you, but I was hilarious. I still look at my videos. I'm like, haha, that was funny. But I did talk.
You actually had a YouTube channel though, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a YouTube channel. I had to take all those videos down because they weren't professional in any way. But I've kept them so I can see the progression that I make year for year. I did talking heads videos first, where I just talked and thought I was funny that way. And then, did I know you when I did that? Did we know each other?
I don't think I knew you, but I remember watching them a bit later on. Like when I first discovered your content, and that's when I just watched your stuff anyway. Because me, I got like a binging habit. If I see something I like, I just start watching it for days, and then I get sick of them.
I don't think they're funny now, but at the time I thought that was hilarious. I think that was like 2016 I did that. And then, you probably didn't watch them because I removed them in 2017.
Yeah. I mean, I remember starting to speak to you around like May-ish in 2017.
Yeah, I remember that. So, and I followed you back because I liked your profile picture. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. So I remember watching. I remember you even putting stuff out after that. Like there was on the N-word plus, and I was like, oh hell nah.
Yeah, no. I did. I ditched the talking head concept, and then I wanted to do skits instead. And I did. I think the concepts were hilarious, but the execution was just horrible. I did the.
You know what's funny? You say that, but like, I think like you as a creator, you saw all the problems with it. I think the average viewer definitely saw it as like something that's pretty high production value. Funnily enough, because like the audio was good, the video quality was good, like the lighting was good for most of them. But obviously, like, there's little things. I remember your friend, like, that met us, that came with you to my old house, said that the microphone stands were peeking in some of the shots and stuff, or something like that.
I remember that. But I went into it with like a sort of a perfectionist mindset, and we're gonna talk about perfectionism in another episode. But so everything I wanted to do, I wanted to look like Hollywood. It had to be the highest possible quality. But I had spent so much time on a skit, and I'm like, I have to release it now. Like I've spent so much because if I don't release it and let it go, I'm like I'll spend forever editing this thing, and I can't move on to the next thing. And I wanted to release something every 2 weeks, which was pretty ambitious considering how much time we spent on making a skit. And then I think. So we did. I remember 3 concepts we did. One was you go to a restaurant and your friend is like, "I'll pay," and then you kind of fake it. "Oh, I'll pay," and then he goes like, "All right." And so that was the first concept. I thought that was hilarious. And then other things that we did. But then I kind of ditched that, and I got in contact with a Muay Thai fighter, which is one of my good friends now, and I started doing the Rich Life documentary. If you remember that.
Yeah.
And his name is Richie, so play on the word, the Rich Life, and it's not about money.
Yeah.
For those of you wondering. But then I started getting into sports, and like editing sports stuff, documentaries, ads, mini movies, stuff like that. And then it kind of evolved into client work, and now here I am working on my short film, my first short film that I'm planning on shooting, starting to shoot at the end of this month, which I wrote last year, and I've spent like a year on getting this together, and I'm gonna share some writing like the experiences that I've had writing movie scripts as well.
I remember you saying you hate writing back in the day.
Like I didn't like writing at all, so I would so for like the podcast stuff, I would just write like bullet points, like, hey, I wanna mention this and this and this, but I'll never spend time writing anything. And then I just the one thing that I kind of wanted to write, I didn't like doing it, but I kind of wanted to get into it, was comedy. I wanted to do comedic skits. So the movie script that I ended up writing started out as a comedy, and then it ended up as a thriller type of thing. I'll talk more about that in a different episode because that's a crazy twist.
So you mean like the short film, or you mean the short film that you made, or
the short film started out as a skit. I was gonna do a skit, and it's a skit idea that I've had for like years. But then it just kind of involved like, you know what? There's a lot of potential here if I actually take it serious. And then I took it serious, and I signed up for like different screenwriter groups, and I got in touch with a lot of screenwriters and had them review my script. And I've had actors. I've done casting. I've had actors read out the script. I've done so many adjustments in the last year. I'm gonna do my final adjustments like this month, and then hopefully we can start shooting. But so that's what. So to get out of this topic, like that's what I do. This is my visual medium. I do photography and videography, and what I really wanted to do in the future is movies. That's what I want to do, and writing movies and directing movies.
What would you say is your problem with like those terms like graphic designer, photographer, videographer, blah blah blah? What would you say is?
I would say that
because for me it bothers me because it's like people see it and then they associate you with whatever like the general graphic designer does, like logos and stuff like that. And I really don't like making logos, even though I feel like I'm a competent one now at this point, like a competent logo designer, but I just hate making them.
I mean that kind of happened with us, right? Because we're looking for a logo for the Bluprint, and you're like, yo, like we should pay a graphic designer, and I'm like, why? You're a graphic designer yourself, and you said I hate doing logos.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because like the field is so broad. Like there's so many different like graphic designers, packaging designers, there's digital artists, there's illustrators, and like these are all technically graphic designers. And you can't expect every graphic designer to be able to make every kind of design in that format, in different formats. So yeah, everyone has their specialities, and I think that paying people for their speciality is valuable, rather than paying for someone that doesn't really enjoy it.
I mean that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. In photography, there's subcategories as well as like food photography and and fashion photography, stuff like that. But in general, I don't mind the term photographer. This is like the inner hipster in me. I'm really not trying to hate, but I feel like there has to be like a minimum requirement before you call yourself a photographer, at least a professional photographer. Like I'm cool with everyone calling themselves a photographer, but if you're not making if you're not making any money of it and you've never made any money off of it, you're not a professional photographer, and that's okay. For me, for example, I take pictures. I've made money off of taking pictures, but I don't like client work in terms of photography. So I'm okay with not being called a professional photographer because I don't like doing paid photography work. I mean, sometimes I do, but it's not. I prefer doing video work for clients instead. So it's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But we're gonna wrap this episode up because we've reached our time limit almost. So now you guys know a little bit about who I am and how do you say it, Mohammed Imam?
Yeah, I was hoping you said the other way because it was good to hear in the beginning. But yeah, that's how they say it.
So now you know a little bit about us and the brand and the podcast and what to expect in the future and who we are. So hopefully you guys will tune into the next episode. Catch you guys in the next one.
So yeah, you can find me on MI Visuals on Instagram and Twitter. Just pretty much the same. Instagram is MI_visuals, and then Ray. If you want to call yourself that, what's your socials?
You can find me on just Instagram. It's Raymond.roots.
We'll be launching the Bluprint on December the 1st. Hopefully, I'm thinking we release the podcast before that. And then you're gonna be seeing this kind of content, but in video format, and hopefully a lot more entertaining than our boring voices are. Or should I just speak for myself, buddy, by your name?
No, you got the boring voice. I don't have a boring voice, but
I ain't got a boring voice. Get out of here.
You speak for yourself here, Mister.
Well, so keep an eye out for the Bluprint, and the videos are coming very soon. Keep an eye out for Ray's short films and my graphic pieces, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Bluprint Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tell a friend and stay tuned.